We have gone through the beginnings of the church and from building a very strong foundation, just like you said, like both of you have done that. Your spiritual leadership has guided us so far. And talking from that foundation, from that beginning, I'm sure there are moments where you face challenges that were very difficult in the ministry. And, if you can relate to any of those challenges that you faced during the times that you started, just, share some of your experiences with that with us.
Yeah. Wow, a lot, but I will just share probably once. I think one of the great challenges were the fact that we're new at this, right? It is different than cleaning the toilet or serving as an usher to become the set person who lead the ministry. It's a new environment. It's like you're leading and learning at the same time. It's like God is building you at the same time you're leading the people. And so that was very difficult because I didn't understand how people would react to the message. I think I was candid. I felt like, you just preach the word, you love people, and that was enough, right? And sometimes you get some feedbacks and feel like, oh, he's screaming too much. Why is he so excited? Why can he not just talk quietly? And so those first critics, right, coming on you, nobody criticized when you wash the toilet, right? Everybody brag about you. And I would feel like I was kind of, I'm a loving person. How can somebody then criticize me? My heart is so pure toward it. So that was a big challenge to handle rejection and criticism. That one, I'm telling you, I've wrestled with it often. It was a shock that somebody talked bad about me. Like, right? That was probably some of my greatest challenges. That one was my killer.
And you overcame. That's all.
Yeah, I overcame.
That's right.
But yet, still, by the blood of Christ, we overcome.
Amen.
But every criticism and every, that way of just pushing you around, and when you know you're doing the right thing, even though you grow into it, you still deal with it regardless how many years you've been doing it. It is hard to see people you love so much, that you give yourself so much, assassinating your character. And they don't give you the benefit of the doubt that you too you're learning, right? I had to learn to understand the church are children, right? So that was not easy. I felt very rejected and sometimes criticized so harshly that in the morning you wake up, you come to preach and feel like, Lord, is it really worth it? So those were challenges in the beginning.
I know that required a lot of stretching in every area of your life. How did you feel, Pastor Nadia?
That's why you gotta know that you are called to do it, because there's so many reasons that tells you, and that's how the devil works. You're not good enough, what are you preaching? What was that message? Like, seriously, are people even gonna listen? Although he was an amazing preacher, you know what? But still, the enemy always comes and attacks through people. But for me, my greatest challenge was the fact that I never had a good model of a pastor's wife. And yet I was also ordained as a pastor. So I felt the burden. So imagine I have a young, small kid with special needs, and I've been ordained right before. So there's this burden. God, you called me, you anointed me, and then you ordained me, and then you give me a child, right? That was number one. And number two, trying to fit in a pastor's wife. So I had all these ideas in my head because I never knew, how it looked like, what was my expectation. So your expectation is what you think a pastor's wife should be. And feeling also the eyes, the pressure of people wanting you to be a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And so I struggled a lot because I started becoming something I was not, trying to be the best that I could give to God. And that was the biggest challenge of my life. You know what? How do I do this? Oh, your pastor's wife. How are you supposed to stand? And I remember there's even people say, oh, pastor, she doesn't preach. Hello, I don't sleep at night. I'm so overwhelmed. You want me to preach, running after my son. But all this stuff affects you because you are second guessing all the time what you should be and how you should be. And I was really young. I was young. So anyway, you learn as you grow. Yeah, you learn as you grow. Yeah.
And she was saying, oh, pastor didn't visit me. And sometimes I will hear that and I will get angry. I'll feel like, you know what? We have children. My wife is at home. She think of the kid. I'm here. That should be enough for you, right? But of course, we learn and understand in the course of time that just the way things are. But it was not easy for sure.
Ministry calling is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then in the meantime, you're asking God, God, just change my heart. When you feel down, discouraged, you feel lonely. As a pastor's wife, my goodness, kudos to you, every pastor wife on this planet. It's the most loneliest place on this planet, So you are lonely and you can't even tell anyone what you go through. It was very, very extreme for me. For me, it was very extreme. But grace.
Grace to it.
Grace.
Exactly. And as great shepherds, you guys kept on. Even when people doubted you, And how did you tackle moments where unexpected outcomes, like things that maybe you thought were going to go one way and they went a different way? How did you tackle those moments?
Yeah, I think for my wife and I, that's really, I can speak for us in that perspective. We have a mindset really simple. Failing is a part of life. If things don't go the way we thought it will go, we just shift to what is next, right? And also that was a part of our foundation. Don't spend too much time on something when it didn't work and you realize, okay, I missed the mark here, right? Pick up yourself, what's next? And you heard me say it often, when you get in a place where you're not afraid to fail, nothing can stop you because it's one lesson that the add upon you to be able to do better to the next one. It's just to keep moving on, and knowing you'll keep learning and you're not perfect and you'll grow into it and God will order your steps and then, hey, what's next, God? Let's go.
But then our greatest encouragement become people are changing, people are staying, people are behind you. You know what I'm saying? People who are receiving your message fully. So it just takes away the challenges to know, oh God, I'm making a difference. As much as it's painful, but I see somebody like Kenny, her life is changing, So people who, that's the fruit of our ministry. And that's what gives us courage and encouragement to see lives being changed and transformed.
That is true.
And I think it takes away the struggle sometimes because you want to know, am I making a difference? Because at the end of the day, Sunday after Sunday, week after week, that's the greatest question. Am I making a difference in somebody's life? That's why I want to encourage people. Paul says, actually, I was reading it today. He was speaking, I don't remember which church. He said, I would like to come to you so that I can be encouraged by your faith. The faith of our people, our congregation, is important for us too. Because we are always giving and people are looking up to our faith to minister to them. But I think it's a vice versa, where we see the congregation faith. That's why testimonies are important. That's why people telling us this message touched me is important. It's not that so that my ego blown up. No, it's so that I can be encouraged by your faith and by your walk with God. So and that becomes our source of encouragement. So I mean, to everything there's good and there's bad, but we've got to focus on the bad, on the good. Are those people who are behind you, who are by you, who are, praying for you, who are encouraging you. So I think it becomes easier to do the work of God.
And in the course of the years, we, of course, as she was saying, so many people that have been a source of encouragement, including yourself and many others, who just stood by us regardless. encouraging, praying for us, you know they are there for you, right? And that's really, God uses it to give you a new breath, right? To be able to stand up again. You know, at the end of the day, there is those ones that understand, and you can see the fruit of your ministry in their lives, and they will not shy away to acknowledge it and, and look up to you with such a heart of respect and honor. And sometimes you just draw from that and you feel like, yes, something is working here. Look at Kenny, look at Claudia, look at Pastor Joe, look at Tui, look at Kennedy, look at Smartress, look at Pastor Sabet, and then it goes on. And you feel like, yeah, it's okay. Let's keep going. If this is changing one person, we are doing a good job. And of course, as she was saying, through those encouragement and the faith they were expressing and the gratitude that they expressed, it's become your greatest fuel to rise up from any struggle and challenges, even higher than those who betray you, those who didn't believe in you. And so you can stand again and preach the word of God and keep doing the work. That's true.
I'm totally going into, I guess, a worldly mindset here to think energizer. That's the first thought that came into me. That's right. Going and going and going, right? So the other thing I was just going to ask is, from that experience, how do you continue to deepen your relationship with God? Through ministering to other people, how did you maintain that relationship with God on your own?
First and foremost, for my wife and I and our family, we are worship people. We like to worship. I don't know how many times we spend nights after nights, overnight prayers, listening to hill songs. Even during the toughest moments, it's become the place where we've learned to cultivate a deep, intimate relationship with God through worship. I think worship was the biggest thing in our homes, right? And I believe, and I want to recommend that to anybody. Whatever course God called you on, when things become tough, listen, sometimes you don't even want to read the Bible. Sometimes you don't want to go to a prayer place. But there is a place in worship where God come and meet with people. And in that place, it will give you strength and it will heal your wounds and so on. So I will say for us, worship was really the secret place for us, where we were strengthened by God, where we were uplifted and give revelations. Worship was the big thing. Worship was the big thing.
Big thing. And for me, God gave us our son. We had to stay in his word so that we can find encouragement in God, which is sometimes God will bring things on your way. And there are challenges, obstacles, some painful, some not so painful, but it keeps you connected to God. I needed God, whether I'm preaching or not. I needed God to give me strength every day to believe that God will turn the life of our son around. I needed to stay connected with him, and through my personal challenges, then everybody benefits, If not, it can become like a job, where preaching is a job, but it's life flowing out of you from what you are experiencing with your God. So on that, I really thank God. I really thank God because it kept me connected to the vine, kept me connected to God, because I knew, God, you are my source of hope, of strength for every day and for everything I do. It's really the grace of God. So that helped us, to keep going.
And I would like to recommend to every minister, it's out of that overflow of intimacy with God that you minister. If not, as my wife said, it will end up being a job. And if ministry become a job, it's become difficult to flow because it's a calling, first and foremost. So worship was a good thing for us, and it's still.
Beside he was preaching to us every night.
They were my guinea pigs.
Good Lord.
Do well later.
Yeah, I do remember somebody who asked me one day, she's like, Pastor, every time you're sitting there watching Apostle preaching, it's like you've never heard him before. Yet you hear him every day for years. And I'm like, you know what? I never get tired of listening to this man because he's so powerful. Sometimes he would preach At night, the message of Sunday, I'll be like, yeah. I want to hear it Sunday. Because it seems different. When he's on the pulpit, beside when he's at home, it was total different. So when he's preaching me at night, I'm like, oh yeah, put me to sleep with your preaching. But in the morning, my goodness, it's like a different message. So I can never get tired from Apostle. I mean, he's powerful. He's always been
so kind.
consistently powerful. And I'm not consistently powerful, I'm not trying to bring you up. That's what I believe with all my heart, He's powerful. He has a gift of revelation, and he has a capacity to communicate the word of God. So I think he's one of my greatest preachers on this earth, for sure. For sure. Not at night, though, on Sunday.
She's so kind to me. I felt like $1 million right now.
But it's so true. Everybody can attest to that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Yes.
How did you keep your family as number one priority?
I'll let her answer that first.
I don't know.
That's been also another challenge for me personally with the ministry. As my wife was mentioning, most of the time in the beginning, she stayed home with the kids, right? I run after the people and so on. And it's been difficult for me because I love my children, I love my family. But at the end, the comfort coming the way, God, you will be able to fill in what I cannot fill in. Because I'm taking care of your church. I do my best for my family in the way that I can. But it was not easy. She has to take a lot of the responsibilities in taking care of the children. Let me put it that way. Yeah, so it's been tough for that. And of course, with the apostolic ministry, running, opening churches length and right, it has not been easy at all.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's just really a calling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, people used to say, but why you don't preach? Why you don't go visit people? And I'll be like, okay, if Apostle go, who's going to stay with my children? You know what I'm saying? And it's different from every family, every pastoral family. So for me, I never felt like I should be doing this at that time. I felt like my responsibility was to support him by taking care of the children, And by the grace of God, our children are doing amazing. Yeah. So
I would like to add something on it. My wife's been a tremendous gift in that area. Because sometimes I will feel really bad, right? But at the same time, I'm stretched on either corner. But she make it so amazing, even though I know it was a lot of weight on her, a lot of burden on her, and so on. But she believed in my calling, and she believed in the call of her family and the sacrifice that needed to be done, if I can put it that way. And because of that, she just bought in a supernatural grace. Let me put it that way. I tell you, it's a supernatural grace for what she was able to do. Supernatural grace. Especially when I look at our children today, they are doing amazing. Rafaela is flying high. Amadou feel love. He's a loving person. It's like they live in love because God gave so much love to my wife that actually it's allowed our family to respond to the call of God and still do what needs to be done, but having a family that is solid and standing on the rock. So I'm really grateful for my wife who understood what our family was about related to the calling, to pay that price. And so.
But there was a moment I just wanted to run, because as a young girl, you have a vision or an idea how you think God, it's gonna use you and your family, you know what I'm saying? And it was totally opposite night and day. Amen. He flipped our life around, So there was time I was like, you know what, God, I am so done. So done. But yet to just keep rising again, for another day. Yeah. And those are, I think they are teaching moments. And there are moments where sacrifice. Today you were talking about sacrifice. Remember at the restaurant, he was talking about sacrifice. Christianity without sacrifice is not Christianity. Serving Christ without sacrificing, it's not serving the Lord. It requires sacrifice. And you don't get to decide what kind of sacrifice. Yeah. Jesus shops for you what kind of sacrifice he will want you to do. He spoke to Paul. He spoke to Ananias, I'm going to show Paul what he must suffer for me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So there is sacrifices we all have to do to serve the Lord. Or to be just a Bible-believing Christian. We were born to serve God. That's it, that's all.
Yeah.
And it requires sacrifice. Don't let no one tell you it's to come and enjoy the goodness of the Lord.
Yes.
It is to enjoy the goodness of the Lord, but by serving, giving yourself fully as He's given Himself to us fully by His love. So it is sacrifice.
It is. It is sacrifice. The Bible says that I may know Him in the power of His resurrection, but also in the fellowship of His suffering. And I know sometimes people don't understand how we navigate our life as a family. But at the end of the day, each family needs to understand the call that is upon their life and the sacrifice that's corresponding, right? And that's why you can look at somebody's life and trying to live that way. Earlier, our children understood, dad is no longer an engineer. Dad is a preacher. Mommy is a preacher. We are called as a family to serve the Lord. So our family will not look like the neighbor's family, but in all things we'll stay together and we'll walk this path together in the valley on the mountain. But God has been really amazing, supplying supernatural grace to our children and to us, regardless of how tough it was. And we can say that we are still standing on that course because we recognize the call that we have as a family and the sacrifice that is connected to it.
'Cause all my